Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're just going to do a quick video. I'm running into some things here this week that I got to get done. But I thought it would be cool to show you guys how I do some of these texture type of things. Like this is a good example for the hair. I thought it might be helpful for people who are just kind of getting into nomad. So let's kind of go over that. In this example, it's just super easy. All this is here. The hair is just a sphere. I'm going to turn this layer off. That was obviously pushed and pulled. But the way that you go about adding texture to things like this is this tool down here called the stamp tool. And what you want to do is click on that. And then on the right hand side, I have it set up so it's underneath my gizmo tool. You'll see a colored circle which represents your color choice for whatever you're working on. But then right underneath that is a white square with a red line through it. Click on that. And what that does is it brings up all these different alpha maps that you can use. I think a lot of these actually come natively with the program now, but you can also download some. You can find some on the internet. You can make them if you have the ability to do that with Photoshop or some such program. They're very super simple. If you look at these, all they are is just a straight black and white image that fits into the confines of a square. I don't know the exact dimensions off the top of my head. But you can find that information pretty easily. But you just select that, and then it's as simple as, just drawing on there. I'm actually let's pick this kind of a skin looking one. And then I have my stamp tool selected. I'm going to select his face and make sure I have that selected. Whoop, I don't. Let's go back. There we go. And then it's just a matter of painting that on there. Now when you do it, you can see what it's doing. I have symmetry turned on, so it's creating it symmetrically. If I turn that off, it creates, a nice square version of his face. And when I first started using this technique, I wasn't sure how to get it to tone down. Like this is obviously way too much. Let's go back. So the way that you control that, there's two ways. You can lower the intensity here on your brush, which that'll work, but you can't change it after the fact. What I like to do is I come up here, and in the upper left menu system, it looks like a stack of 3 papers. Click that. That's your layer menu. And then if you create or add a new layer, now when you do it, I'm gonna crank this symmetry up so you can just see how it works, or the intensity rather. Now when I do it, let's say I want to add some skin texture. Obviously way too much, right? Way too much of a relief, too much texture. But since I put it on that layer, I can turn the opacity of that layer way down to something that makes more sense. Now when I draw, as long as I'm on that layer, when I use that stamp tool, it'll adhere to that opacity. This is obviously too much for this particular model, but you get the idea. Let's turn it down even further. Barely anything at all. But I use this a lot of times for skin texturing. Actually, I'm just going to delete that. And especially hair. In this case, let's select that and turn that on. You can see the difference. And I believe that was, let's see if we can recreate it. I don't remember the exact alpha I used for that, but let's see if we can figure that out. So all this was a sphere. I'm going to go ahead and validate that. And let's see if we can come up with something kind of similar to that. The other thing that you got to watch out for when you do this is your geometry, your mesh needs to be pretty dense. So I'm going to jump that up. Otherwise it's going to look pixelated and blocky and all that kind of thing. So I'm going to jump this way up. There we go. And then I'm going to pick, turn that wireframe off. Let's see if we can find, don't remember, it might even be that, which is like a skin texture. And I'll show you guys kind of where you can find this stuff. I'm going to add it to a layer. And let's paint that on there. Yeah, I don't think this is the exact one, but you get the idea. You can see what it's doing. And you can layer them on top of each other to kind of get that effect. You can also smooth if it's too much, you know, certain areas, whatever you need. Before, after. Let's smooth. Let's do a heavy smooth. Let's have that there. See what it does? So if you need to do like food, this kind of looks like frosting. You could do it that way. And it's all controllable, which is super nice. I'm going to back out. So like if this is too much, you can just bring it down. Makes life super easy. Also, it's great for, let's do another one, for stuff like clothing, textures, textiles. Let's see. Let's add a layer. And you can change, I believe, in one of these, yeah, I think it's here, the scale of it. Oh. One of these you can change the scale. I can't remember what it is now. Of course. Let's pick a different one. This is kind of a neat one. If you wanted to do like cracked earth, that's how you would do that. And it's difficult to get them to line up. That is the one drawback of the whole thing. Where is that? Maybe it's in here. I don't remember. I'll have to look it up and see if I can find it. I thought it was over in this setting in here. That's going to drive me nuts now. You can also change, if you go to this menu here, you can change how it falls off. So it's not as, like this is pretty, you can see where that square is. You can change the fall off though to something that's a little bit more, it's not as abrupt. So there are a lot of options, you know, within here that you can really kind of control things with. Let's pick a different one. I do this a lot of time for hair. I'll add different alphas specifically for hair and then lower that way down. Or if you want to do grass or anything like that. These are like super, super sharp. If I wanted to smooth that, I could smooth it. Yeah, it's all manageable, which is the really great thing. You could do veins if you wanted to. I think for this you need to be back on your base layer though. Yeah. You could do veins under the skin, just all kinds of stuff. This is going to drive me crazy where that bit is. There is an area you can control. It's not there. The scale of it. I think it's in here. But yeah, let me pull up maybe another one where I used it for some texturing of like a textile. I think here. Yeah, this is a great example. So here I used it to texture the leather on his outfit and this kind of quilted look. This actually needs pulled out a little bit. And you can kind of get an idea. Whoop. There we go. Of all the different things you can do, the different looks. Now, if you were to try this, like I said, you got to have a pretty high resolution for your geometry. I'm going to move this. If I were to do that on just a low geometry mesh, I'll show you what happens. We'll use that because that's pretty. Actually, we'll use this. See what happens. It doesn't have the mesh, the geometry available to create a crisp image. So what you need to do is bump up the resolution of your geometry. I'm going to smooth that out super quick. And then now when you do it, you get a nice crisp shape. And it works out great. I actually used this one, here let's see, for a model I did a while ago. See if I can find it. Yeah, there we go. You can use it kind of like as a mask even, I think. I was trying to remember. And, whoop. Like if I wanted to use that to paint in a shape. I don't think I used stamp, I used paint. And then select that. No. Don't remember now. There is a way of doing it. Where's my stamp? You know, turn that way down, and then you can paint all that area in if you like. Kind of use it as a mask. Might even, I don't know if face group would work with that. No. But you could paint that in. But it works great for like hair, if you want to do a cartoony kind of hair, and then augment it with tubes for strands and stuff like that. That's what we did for that dwarf character. Where'd he go? There. You can see a lot of this is using the crease tool and tube tools, but you know, all of this detail here on the buttons and on his braid jewelry, those are all just, you know, stamps, because you could put it literally on anything. If you want to put it like on a cylinder, scoot this, like let's say, I don't know, maybe we could give him a crown. Let's try it. Just something super easy and quick. Okay, validate that. I'm going to bump that up. And then smooth that. Again, super quick. Doesn't have to be perfect for this. And then let's get a gold color going. I could probably just pick one of these. Perfect. And if I go to my stamp tool and figure out just any kind of pattern really that shows a relief, so maybe something in here, this is kind of neat, and then it's just a matter of painting that in. We'll add a layer so I can control it. I'm going to turn symmetry off as well. But yeah. And it is difficult because it isn't tiled, so. But you can kind of get the idea. You know, you can come up with things to kind of combat that. I just think it's a super neat way of, an easy way of adding texture to your sculpt. And then maybe go back to that. Oh, why didn't it add the layer? Add layer. Do it one more time. And like I said, you can make your own if you have the ability with a photo editing software like Photoshop. They're very easy to do. It's just you got to make sure it's black and white. Because if you look here, so the white is the part that kind of extrudes out, I think, yeah, and the black is what kind of stays the same, and then anything in between is varying degrees of that. I'll lower that. And let's see if we can maybe drag. See if I can add a turn that on. And you can kind of see what it's doing, you know? Now, obviously, this is very rudimentary, but it's kind of, whoop, cool. If you really wanted to get into it, you could get quite detailed with whatever it is you're doing. Isn't that cool? So yeah, and you can also do it with one other thing real quick. With skin texture, if you were doing a more realistic model, let's see here. So here obviously is a more realistic look to him, but you can add micro detail with the skin. I believe these are all on layers. Yeah. So let me turn that off, and you can see immediately the difference. So here's the skin texture layer, and I barely have anything. I have 8%, a little over. This is what it looks like, almost 100. Obviously, way too much. But that's why you have the ability to really tone it down, make it very subtle, and that detail will show up on a 3D print. I've done those before, and you can add it to. I have it added here to the cowl. I got a hole there, but yeah, it's super easy to do, and it's just a neat way to add even more realism to your sculpts. So that's going to do it for this week, guys. I appreciate you watching. As always, please like and subscribe, and I'll see everybody next week. Take care.